Hi, hello everyone. Today is March 16th. Sorry, I have not made any videos. Things are moving rapidly here in Southern California and in the US as a whole. So I want to wish everybody a happy Pie Day, belated. If you haven't had pie, well, I didn't have pie. I wanted to get some pie, but we'll see. And then the 15th, yesterday, was Sunday. It's a prayer day, National Prayer Day, declared by Donald Trump, the president. Okay, that's just to pray for for the pandemic. Okay, and tomorrow is going to be St. Patrick's Day, so happy St. Patrick's Day. So don't get too drunk. In California, they shut down all the bars and places like restaurants with anyway, so all clubs and bars and all that. So people don't get drunk and act stupid, which overall is pretty wise. I mean, they didn't shut down. Well, City of LA shut down the restaurants, but I think they only allowed delivery now or something, or maybe a pickup. I'm not sure. But the good idea is to stay home. I think the governor, the ex-governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he made a video telling everybody to stay home. Okay, so an interesting fact that yesterday about some Irish butter. I don't know if that's for St. Patrick's Day. Get ready for St. Patrick's Day or something. But I didn't know. I've never really heard of Irish butter. I don't know what that is. So I bought a couple sticks. I don't know. I haven't tried it myself. My daughter has tried it, but my conjecture is that you'll get you drunk. Anyhow, now let's move on to the virus, the pandemic. So I want to talk about what works, right? What works so far from what we learned from different countries and different regions, and then we can look at some countries that are doing well and some regions that aren't. So figure out what actually works to stop this pandemic. So first of all, Singapore gets an A+. So they had a few cases. They were the first countries that are outside of China reporting cases, but they still don't have anybody dying from it. Part of it, as I suggested, that it might be from they're way down here. They're like way down here, just on the infected numbers. So 243 infected, high infection rate, but high recovery, 0 death. That's really important. So they do have pretty advanced medical caring system. They also sort of are famous for their draconian, whipping my citizen into submission sort of measures. But I think the citizens over there are quite self-disciplined in a way that, because they're well trained, so to speak, to follow the government's suggestion. So they don't really need to have really strong enforcement to get everybody to work together and cooperate. Anyhow, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Malaysia, the Southeast Asian places, they're doing fairly well. They have some death. They have been affected early as well, but they don't have huge worrisome sort of numbers. Japan is doing fine. They were also really well early, one of the earlier ones to be scared because they had the Diamond Princess thing going, and then they did not handle that perfectly. But considering everything, they had a marathon and all that, and they're still okay, right? I was looking at their numbers. They're still okay. By the way, these numbers we can probably trust to be somewhat reliable. If they're not reliable, I'm not going to bring them up. So I don't bring up China's numbers. So one thing I want to point out is South Korea. Their countable death rate, again, go review my death rate video. We're not talking about case fatality rate because that's the way people look at things, but that's not giving the good picture. But Korea South, they have 8,000 something infected, 1,000 something already recovered, 75 death only. Okay, not too bad. But compared to them, Germany is doing okay, pretty good, but not as many recovered yet. Spain, on the other hand, has lost too many people. They're in triple digits. So there you go. So Spain, they're actually down here. France has some new data, but they already have triple digit death, so they get a D. Spain, they have a countable death rate of 39%. Okay, D minus, pretty bad. Iran, they have a lot of death, a lot of infection. They seem to be holding the death rate under control, but their data is not reliable. So I don't know if this totally recovered number is actually, people who recovered. And Italy is right now the epicenter, as declared by the World Health Organization. There are close to 28,000 now confirmed cases. 2,000 deaths though. China only reported 3,200. Okay, 2,100 and counting. Recovery is not that high. I remember last time we looked at them, they were doing better than Korea, and then Korea now gotten their countable death rate down to 6%, where Italy shot up to 44%. 44%. All right. I was interrupted, and now I'm back. Well, I don't know what happened. I had some Irish cream. No, Irish Irish butter. Because I fell asleep after I got drunk, right? And now the dryer is on. It's humming in the back. Oh well. Okay, so let's get back. Italy was doing a bad job. The countable death rate rose to 44%. Let's not dwell on that. We all know that the Italians were facing some crisis right now. They're the ground zero. They're the epicenter now. So, there's a surprise good job done by North Korea, NOCO, and by their leader, because from like day one, even before the United States, they sealed off the border. They sealed off their borders or any sort of transportation from and to, I guess mostly from, any sort of foreign country, especially China, when China was the only one who had reported cases. So yeah, I mean that works, and it's easy for for a self-sustaining economy to do so. Anyhow, I guess to summarize, that the strategies of the societies that really work is social isolation, not just distancing so much, pretty much isolation. I mean, you still socialize with your family at home. But in China, in Wuhan, mostly people are isolated, even from their relatives that don't live together, and from neighbors. They wear masks. Masks do work. We just don't have enough of it. We cannot produce enough masks. So, the authorities tell people not to wear masks, or, it's not as important. But if you have one, if you need to go into some sort of situation, use them, right? Use them properly. I see. Yesterday I was at a store. I see people start wearing masks. I was happy. And then I see masks hanging on their chins. I see masks exposing their nostrils, and I was like, why are you wasting a mask if you're going to wear it, right? Wear it properly, okay? The mask, I guess that's why the government didn't want to promote the masks, because people don't wear them properly. Okay, either way, voluntary things are getting better here, or draconian social distancing or social isolation. Either way, it's good. It takes discipline. Discipline could be self-discipline, or could be somebody else disciplining you, right? So it works. And hand washing is a discipline that you practice on mostly self-discipline. Or your parents whip you into doing it. And also what works is awareness, okay? Good information is the best thing. So one thing about Italy is that they were looking at the Chinese numbers, and then they're like, hey, China, 81,000 getting it, 3,000 deaths, out of a country of 1.4 billion. That's nothing, right? That is nothing. But that's not a correct number. That's not the right message people send out, or China sent out. And that's why the Italians fell into this trap, so to speak. And they were, too much in love with their social life, I guess. But it's nice, they contribute to romantic ideas and all that. But anyway, another thing is social organization. That's important. All for one and one for all. In China, there's some rumor that this family of three, that both parents died, and then there's a 3-year-old that starved to death. It was absolute tragedy. But the worst thing is that that's not the only tragedy. It may not even be the worst tragedy of this pandemic. I mean, I don't know. It's a really, really bad thing. So again, all for one and one for all. We need to organize ourselves. We need to make sure that all the vulnerables are looked at. We pay attention to them, and if they fall to the sickness, then we need to take care of them. And meanwhile, if they fall into hunger or lack of care or something, we need to figure out a way to care for them. And when caring for each other, maybe masks can be helpful. Okay, that's it for today, and then happy St. Patrick's Day. And don't get too drunk. I mean, at least get drunk at home only, right? Get on FaceTime with your friends. Don't get together. Have a beer. Cheers.